And time for rapid fire NBA free agency reactions. We already had the big names. Check them out in the previous videos. But Ishan, hit me with a name. I'll say my take. You'll say your take.
All right, let's start off with a big one. Dante DiVincenzo, 2-year deal, around $9 to $10 million for the Golden State Warriors.
Absolute dub for Dub Nation. This is the biggest steal of free agency. When I saw this happen, I'm like, damn, this is make perfect sense. Dante went crazy with the Bucks in that playoff run a couple of years ago. Not the one they won the championship, but the one before that. But
Even when they won the title too.
he was coming back from an injury though, so he wasn't like who he was. But Dante is tough, bucket getter, Villanova guy. You know what you get. The tough, gritty guys that they got to roll on any team. And this guy is going to be an instant addition to this depth. The Warriors not only have one of the best young cores in the league, not one of the best superstars in the league, superstar tandems in the league, but one of the best like rotations in the league with one of the best coaches. Like this team, Dub Nation is set up for life. You know what?
Yeah.
Next one.
All right, so you know they get Dante DiVincenzo, a great wing from Villanova, but Golden State also takes two L's. They lose Gary Payton II, and they lose Otto Porter. So let's start off with Otto Porter. Goes to Toronto. I love this deal for Toronto. You get a wing with championship experience, a guy that was starting in playoff games, someone who is big, switchable, has a lot of energy. And if you look at the roster construction, I think I've said this before, I'll say it again. You have guys like Precious Achua, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam. These are all big, long wings that can do a little bit of everything and that can switch around. It's truly positionless. And the guy that fits that mold is Otto Porter. So it is a seamless fit for Toronto.
I really like Otto Porter. I always liked him as just a really good player from his days in Washington to Chicago. And then when he went to I guess he kind of took a step back and when he went to Golden State. But that's what you need to do sometimes: take a bit of a smaller role and have more success. And that's an admirable
Mm-hmm.
thing to be able to take away that ego and become more of a team player. And he did that. Won a championship. Starting in a game, good decision. He's versatile. He can play. He can play the five if you want him to. I mean, he plays the 4-3. I mean, this guy's versatile, good defender. He can get you a bucket. This guy's well rounded. Any good team would want him. I don't think we know the contract numbers yet. Just a 2-year deal. I'm gonna give it like a B until I know a B plus until I know what the contract details are, because that can change the landscape of any deal. Because Dante DiVincenzo for 2 years 9.3, A plus contract value. But if it was like 2 years 30, that's like a C. So
Yeah. I think I'm hoping that it's pretty team friendly. I feel like Masai Ujiri will do that. And you know what? You get a great 3-and-D guy. So moving on to Gary Payton. He goes back home to the Pacific Northwest, signs with the Portland Trail Blazers, who are surprisingly or not really surprisingly, who are very active this free agency. And if there's anyone whose value skyrocketed after this playoff run, I think it's Gary Payton II. He posted 7.1 points, 3.5 rebounds, and shot 61.6% last season. But more importantly, we saw how important he was to Golden State's championship run. So, will he bring everything that he can? Will his talent be maximized like it was in Golden State? I
yes,
don't think so in
I think
Portland.
so.
I
I
don't
think
think
it's the
so in
same.
Portland.
All right, first differing opinion. GP2, they call him the man for a reason. 3 years, 28 million. It's a lot of money for a guy that's like relatively unproven. Only had
That's what I mean.
one year as a quality not starter, but quality backup. But what he does is he's one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA. Go watch the Thinking Basketball video on him because the man does way too much. He's the best. He's so good. He got such good hands. And what he does well is Steph Curry, who's one of the best offensive point guards in the league. Defensively, holds his own, but he's nothing special. The slight negative. What happens? He goes to a team. Dame Lillard, one of the best offensive point guards in the league. The defense is a slight negative. What he does is he brings in that versatility to be a great perimeter defender, balances out the weaknesses of the other guards in Simons and uh, Damian Lillard, and it allows them to be more versatile in their schemes. And this is something that they've been missing in that CJ McCollum Dame backcourt for such a long time. I think it's a really good fit. I don't know if the contract is great, but I love the fit. I'm gonna give this a B plus.
Look, it's solid. Don't get me wrong. My thing is, for a guy whose primary role is to be an on-ball defender, I feel like it's a lot of money. And I also think if you are an on-ball defender more than a team defender, your team defense has to be good. He benefited from a lot of that in Golden State. So that's why I felt like his talent won't be maximized as much as an on-ball defender.
But
He's gonna have to do a little bit more.
there will always be spots for good defenders in the NBA. Always. The only
But
two
you need
things
a
you can't get rid of
good.
are good shooters and good defenders. Defense wins championships. You saw it this year. I think you can't go wrong signing a defender. You can't go wrong.
Okay, that's valid. I'll give you that.
And you've seen the shooters climate. The shooter climate has been really hot. Herter again 4 years 65. Duncan Robinson again like 5 years 90. Like these are big contracts these shooters are getting. I think defenders are starting to be valued in that same category. And I wouldn't be surprised in a couple of years you see guys like Pat Bev, Jose, and Gary Payton getting paid a lot of money just because people are starting to value that defensive ability, that grit, and that mentality.
So moving on to another Trailblazers signing, we have Yusuf Nurkic, and he re-signs back with them on a 4-year deal worth $70 million. Is that too much for? Is that too much for Nurkic? Because he is very, very talented.
That sounds right. I mean, this sounds like the most Yusuf Nurkic deal I've ever heard. I mean,
Yeah,
less than 20, that's kind of the range he falls in between. You know, him and Valanciunas and Steven Adams, they all like big European or foreign white guys. They do their job. They're
offensive
solid.
minded.
Well, not
Look,
Steven
he's a guy
Adams,
that's going to
but
give you 50. He's going to give you 15 and 11, which is really solid. More of an offensive guy than a defensive guy. I think Portland is definitely lacking in that defensive department, hence why they brought in Gary Payton II. But I think this is fair. Durability durability is always a question with this guy. He had that freak injury 8 games into the 2019 season, and then 2020 season played 37 games. 2021 played 56 games. So hopefully they get their money's worth with that durability. But he's only 27. He's
oh
a lot
wow,
younger than I
I
thought.
did not think of
I
that.
thought he was like
Dude's been
29.
in the league for like 10 years.
Yeah, he's been in the league since he was 20. Like he's been in it for a while. So, they'll get his prime years.
And he's fine, but I think you're gonna need someone else in that backcourt or that front court to bring more versatility.
I think so too.
And I hate to be that guy bringing back up the Pelicans analogy with the playoffs, but you have your Jonas Valanciunas, but you need a Larry Nance, you need a Jackson Hayes, you need to have that switchability, that defensive mindset. I think he's a great
They'll get a little
player.
bit of that in Jeremy
He'll
Grant
be
though.
great in the regular season, but you're gonna need somebody else if you want to make a run.
But they'll get that with Jeremy Grant. He's a little
He's a
undersized.
4 though. I wouldn't really think of him. You know,
No, but he's pretty tall. Like he's like
he's a
6'8",
4,
6'9". He can play
he's
the
a,
four.
He's a 4, but they need a 5. They need like
That yeah, like a backup.
yeah.
Now the last one that we'll go over today is Ricky Rubio. 34
PJ
games last
Tucker.
season. Oh yeah, PJ Tucker. That one's interesting too. But Rubio 13 points per game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists in only 34 games last season. 3 years, $18 million. I feel like this is a really solid team-friendly deal and a good backup guard for Darius Garland.
You just gotta think about it. He's coming off a pretty tough injury from last season, and I think before he got hurt, he was one of the best. He was arguably the best playmaker in the league. I mean, he was going ballistic. He was so incredibly high, and you just gotta worry about what he really did to his health with that injury. So I think this is kind of a question mark for me. So I'm gonna undecided. I'm gonna give this not applicable. So to TBD on this signing.
Yeah. I think they paid a solid amount though. $6 million a year, it's not too bad. And PJ Tucker, this one is really interesting because he's 37 years old and he's getting a 3-year deal.
But he's got to pay for his shoes somehow.
Yeah. And he will be able to buy a lot of shoes for 11 mil a year. That's amazing for a 37-year-old. And really, we saw in the playoffs, and we've seen with Miami, we've seen with Milwaukee, we've seen with Houston. This guy impacts winning, and his style of play doesn't decline too fast. It's not like he's some freak athlete that over time his body just experiences wear and tear and he's not the same anymore. No, this is a guy that will go out there, give his all on every play, and he can shoot the basketball and defend multiple positions. And regardless, that is still so valuable. So I think it's a little bit much. I would have liked to see a shorter deal, but he's going to be huge for Philly um, come playoff time.
What I will say, his best trait is he's annoying. He's really annoying. You don't want to
He's a
face. You don't
pest.
want to face PJ Tucker. But paying a pest till he's 40. How long can you be a pest for? Like that's a mentality thing. I feel like that would kind of fade with time. Um, we'll have to see on that. I just don't know. Like
I think it's a lot of money and a lot of
that's a
time.
draining mindset to have for that long. Be a pest for that long.
Hmm. I feel like he's someone. Look, Philly needs someone to turn up in the playoffs, but I hear a lot more PJ Tucker in the playoffs than I do in the regular season.
I want him Malik
So
Monk.
yeah, let's do that one
2 year
too.
19 going to Sacramento.
I
Malik
think that's
Monk's
a
a
really
guy.
really good deal.
I have this LA friend, and he loves to talk about. Like, we had this like talk about Pelicans versus Lakers stuff. Like, he kept believing like Malik Monk was better than whatever Pelican player is comparing him against. Like, you gotta be kidding me. It's crazy. But he's a really good player, and he's a bucket. That's what a
He's a
bucket.
really really good shooter.
He scores points. This is a perfect player for the Lakers. It's a shame that we're gonna lose him, but um, going to Sacramento, going to a championship contending team, and the Kings. Championship as in the Timberwolves championship and making the playoffs.
Yeah, the play-in. Yeah, the play-in.
So if they can win the play-in this year, big ups to them.
Big ups. Kevin Herter, Malik Monk. It took a lot to get there.
Who the Lakers side? The Lakers got somebody that I was like really excited about. I was excited about, but like I thought it was like good for them.
Uh,
I can't remember who it was. Lonnie Walker.
Lonnie Walker. Yeah, that I do like. Oh, and Juan Toscano Anderson. I do like both,
And
but
Damian
Lonnie
Jones.
Walker. Lonnie Walker, you know how much I love that guy. He's gonna provide some great shooting off the bench for LA, and hopefully he can kind of tap into his more natural talents, his playmaking, his athleticism, and become a more well-rounded offensive player. Because LA will need that.
Another cool thing. Um, let's talk about Danilo Gallinari going to Boston.
Yep. San Antonio will do the buyout. So they traded DeJounte Murray just essentially for some picks.
Yeah, but I think about this fit in Boston. 'Cause, like, this is really cool, really awesome depth.
Yeah, it's just adding depth. The rich are getting richer. And Boston has been quietly making some really good moves, first with Brogdon, and now with Gallinari. You're getting a guy that can stretch the floor, has playoff experience, and doesn't demand too much. So he'll have a role in Boston.
All right, I'm gonna go super rapid fire mode. Give me like 15 seconds and then like a letter grade for these signings. Um, Start off. Mitchell Robinson re-signed 4 years, $60 million.
Give it like a B.
All right. Bobby Portis 4 years, 49.
I'll give it a B plus.
Kyle Anderson going to the Timberwolves to join their new elite core with Rudy Gobert for 2 years, 18.
I really, really like that. A minus.
Tyus Jones 2 years, 30 to re-sign.
I'll give it a B plus with a really high chance of appreciating.
Um, the player with the most hosts in the NBA, Mo Bamba, 2 years, 26. Oh, no, 2 years, 20.
To Orlando?
Mm-hmm.
That's an A. That's a really solid A.
Victor Home Depot re-signing 1 year, 11 million.
I'll give it like a B to a B plus range.
Lou Dort re-signed 5 years, 87.
B minus.
Any other interesting ones? There's one more. JaVale McGee, 3 years, 20, going to the Mavs.
Give it like a B. It's pretty neutral though.
And let's do our last one. Marvin Bagley, 3 years, 37.
To or staying in
Re-signed
Detroit.
in Detroit.
C plus. I don't like Bagley.
Oh, last one. The most athletic player in the NBA, the GOAT, Joe Ingles, going to the Bucks, 1 year, $6 million.
A plus.
All right. So I'll do it rapid fire, super quick. That's all you got to hear. We'll see you next time. There's still some good free agents left on the board. You got Harden, Ayton, Sexton, the domestic violence hitter, Miles Bridges, Montrezl Harrell, TJ Warren.
I don't think he's getting it back.
There's some good names left. We'll see what's going on. We'll let you know. Stay tuned.